This is the Headsweats ice hat. We'll say right off the bat, I'm very disappointed in this hat. I was hoping it would perform a lot better than it did. I'm a big fan of Headsweats hats in general. This just really missed the mark and lowered the bar from my expectations. Wore it a couple times out in like an 85 plus degree day, running it on the road like 10 plus miles. I filled both pockets, one on each side, with ice, and I didn't notice a difference around my head, keeping it any cooler than normal. In fact, I actually felt a little bit hotter because it is dual layered there. Now, usually their hats are a little bit more meshy, breathable. I felt this wasn't as breathable as some of the other hats, but I understand probably why they did this. I'm just guessing. The material itself, as you see, is pretty solid and not breathable like they normally are. I think that's because if you're going to run in the heat and sun where it's beaking down on you, they don't want you to have that like mesh pattern or like moisture to evaporate out per se. I think that's why they did that. Could be wrong, but the brim itself is pretty stiff compared to some other normal hats that they make. And then the inside, whatever you want to call it, the tucked in part, is very thick as well. It did absorb a little bit of moisture more than normal, but I still felt it was a little bit too much material and made my head a little bit warmer. Even the front here is actually like dual layered, which I don't know why, because there is no pocket here, so there's no point in it being dual layered, unless they just screwed up my hat, but there is no pocket there. So again, if you're going to make it dual layered like that, why? For an ice hat, unless you're actually going to be able to put ice in it. Now the ice pockets itself, I have small hands, I'm going to admit that, but the pockets, like look at that, that's all the bigger they are. My fingers aren't even fully immersed into the pockets, and it's dual layered. It's a little bit thicker mesh. When I did put ice in there, even with, you know what I mean, I have no hair, I really didn't feel the ice touching the sides of my head, especially when I put it lower. Now in the upper part here, if I had some sticking out where it's just like single layered, I did, but once I put it down in the pocket, it was hit and miss, because as you see, I can show you this real quick without making it too weird. You get this, you get your inside liner, it takes up half the pocket, which I'm like, okay, what the hell were you guys thinking? So if you have ice in there, it bows it out a little bit, so it's not even touching your head. This bottom whole half, plus you're not even getting the effect, because you got the hat layer on the outside, and then you got your inner layer interacting with it. I don't know if this side will be any better. So let me do it here. So half the pocket, you got one layer blocking you from filling the ice, and then you got your inner layer blocking you again from feeling the effects of the ice. So you might feel a little bit of moisture, you might get a little bit of wetness there around the whole pocket area, but other than that, by the time the ice temperature reaches you, it's already blocked from having any effect, which really aggravated me, because I felt like I'd feel it a little bit more. But at the same time, if you have ice directly on your head for an extended period of time, you probably will get a headache if you don't have hair like me. But if you have hair, then it really shouldn't be an issue. But even with this, so if you have ice in it, we'll just put my hand up this side. it's like pushing it out, so it's not really touching the side of your head. So I thought the design was a little bit off. The pockets needed to be way bigger. And more so, I think, on the top of your head than anything, or even on the front. They need to open this up a little bit, so you can put ice in there. But it does have a nice little strap. I like these clips. If you're familiar with them, with Headsweats, it is very adjustable. The only thing is, it folds up like this. It's not completely foldable because the brim is more of a cardboard plastic brim than a collapsible foldable one. But overall, I would say to skip this hat and find a different one if you're looking for an ice hat. The amount of ice that you can actually put in the sides is very limited, especially if you're using bigger ice cubes. You're only going to get like 3, maybe 4. You actually need those smaller, I don't know, like sugar cube type size ice to fill it up a lot better. But then again, they're going to evaporate a lot quicker, so you're not going to have the effect as much either with them being smaller. I don't know what else to say about this hat. I just bought it. It was like 30 bucks, 35 bucks. Very disappointed in it. It's not as breathable as, say, some of my other hats, and I felt like the Mission hat, which is not an ice hat, actually makes my head cooler than this ice hat actually does. So I think they need to redesign it a little bit, because I love Headsweats brand hats. This was the first one that I was actually very disappointed in.